Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. In this video, I'm going to be demonstrating this, which is a Gretsch Setzer hot rod guitar. Now, the Gretsch Setzer is basically the same as a Gretsch Nashville guitar, but it has some extra features and it also has some features that are taken away. So why would you buy a Gretsch over a different guitar? Well, a Gretsch is quite a different sounding guitar. Now, that's a combination of it being a completely hollow guitar, or this one being a completely hollow guitar. The Filtertron pickups, these particular style of pickups, they're much more full frequency than, say, a humbucker. So they've got the brightness and the snap of, say, like a single coil. But they're still humbucking. Now the pickups, the hollow body, and that paired with the Bigsby makes it into a really unique sounding guitar. Let me play a couple of things on the Gretsch and then I'm going to pick up my PRS, which has got humbuckers, and you're going to see how different these two guitars can actually sound. And now with the PRS, which has much more traditional style humbuckers. As you can hear, it's much thicker. It's a much thicker sort of sound. It's not quite as high fidelity. Let me go back to the Gretsch. So the Gretsch has this sort of quality that is more like a Telecaster, which is obviously my favourite type of guitar, and it just cuts through a mix. It's fantastic for using for textural sort of guitar sounds, especially if you want that sort of sound where you're using the Bigsby. Now, the reason why I bought this Gretsch is I went to a few different shops to try out a bunch of Gretsches, and I found that this was my favourite. Not only is this one of the simplest Gretsches to use, as it really only has one volume control there and a three-way pickup selector. A lot of Gretsches have extra switches which are basically like treble roll-offs, so you can get that real sort of jazzy tone just by switching them in. It also has a Bigsby style tremolo. If you haven't tried a guitar with a Bigsby, I highly recommend it, as it's got a feel and a sound of its own. Now let me demonstrate that. If I turn up the volume. Let's go through some of the specs on this guitar. Now you've got flame maple, back, sides, and front. You've got an ebony fingerboard. You've got locking tuners. You've got two TV Jones Filtertron style Brian Setzer custom pickups. Now these are hot wound. They're slightly higher output than the standard sort of Filtertrons. You've got a single volume control, and you've got a three-way pickup selector, and obviously the Bigsby. The bridge is pinned, but the guitar is completely hollow. So it's a completely hollow guitar all apart from this little support that is basically just underneath the bridge, just to support the weight of the strings on the bridge, as I guess it would just push through if you didn't. Now, you'd think that a guitar like this wasn't versatile, but it really is. So let me just play a couple of sounds on it. So that's pushing the amp a little bit. Now, if I bring in some extra pedals, let's bring in a boost. And now let's stack that boost into an overdrive pedal. So I've got the boost going into the overdrive pedal, then going into the amp. Now, obviously, if you were using that amount of gain with a completely hollow body guitar like this live, it would be a complete mess. So if you're going to use that amount of gain, great in the studio, but I probably wouldn't recommend this for live. So let me go through the plus and minus points of this guitar. First of all, I think there's way more plus points than there is minus points on this. I really, really, really love the flame maple top, back and sides that they put on this. It's subtle, but it's such an amazing flame that they found for these guitars. It's absolutely stunning. It's not like a PRS flame where it's a little bit over the top. It's subtle. One of the other things that I really love about this guitar is the paint job they did on it, which they've got a slightly different colour green on the front than they have on the sides and the neck as well. The Bigsby, you can actually go quite wild with it and it does stay in tune. It's not like a Floyd Rose, you can't dive bomb it. Now, there's a couple of small things that I don't like about this guitar. One of them is the stringing method on the Bigsby. I think Bigsby have changed this recently, or you can buy an upgrade for it where you can actually string through the Bigsby trem. But on a Bigsby trem, it has these little pins that you have to get the string on before you actually string it. And if you're not used to doing it, like the first time I did it, it took me hours to actually string this. But you get more used to it and it does become something you find easier over time. Now, one of the other things I don't like about this, and to be honest, it's not really the fault of the guitar, it's just the design of the guitar, is the fact that it's so neck heavy. So, like literally, if I let go of it, the neck will always fall down. So the neck is so much heavier than the body, even though the body has all this sort of metal hardware on it. The doorbell has just rung and I've just received a couple of amplifiers from Marshall to review. So yeah, let's see if the Gretsch can do some more sort of high gain stuff. Now, the only other thing, and again, these are all tiny little things that I don't like about it, but the truss rod cover here, I just think on quite a premium price guitar, I just think that looks, oh, it's quite dusty. It looks a little bit cheap. I think, yeah, I think they could have done something a little bit more classy with that. I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. I really hope you guys got something out of this. If you did get something out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe and click on the bell button and you'll be notified of any future video that comes out from the Studio Rats. I'm Paul and I'll see you next time. Cheers.